Hello YouTube! Stella Ella Ola YouTube! I am here for my comics review, my December comics. I went in and got my batch in early December at the comic store I go to here, as well as I picked up a couple of compilation issues at Dollarama, as I've been got into a habit of doing recently because they're only $4 and it's a lot of reading. So I'm going to start with the Dollarama stuff. The first thing is Harley Quinn and Power Girl. I love both of these characters. Harley Quinn, of course, everybody knows, and she's amazing and hilarious and bizarre and crazy. And Power Girl is a character that I don't really know. Like, I've kind of seen her mentioned and seen her thrown in here and there. She's got giant bazungas, I mean, and she's super hot. But I don't think she has her own series. If it's mentioned in here that she should have her own ongoing series, but it sounds like she just kind of pops in and out of other series sort of thing. So this is an interesting team up because Power Girl's good and Harley Quinn, as you know, is bad. And so Power Girl kind of, for some reason, has amnesia, and Harley Quinn convinces her that they're best buddies and they're a team and stuff. So they go on this adventure to become a duo who, I don't know if they're gonna fight crime or whatever, but they run into the Clock King and Sportsmaster, who send the girls through this portal, and they end up in the Sombrero Galaxy, where there's all sorts of threats about, and they have to kind of battle them. And the guy behind it all is a guy named Lord Vartox, who has all these other kind of realities that he's built, and he's married to Power Girl. He's obsessed with her and stuff. So her and Harley are not only are turning away these other threats, but they're also dealing with Vartox and all his scheming and stuff. So it's just this kind of adventure through space in this bizarre Sombrero Galaxy as they kind of make their way through it so they can finally get a portal back to Earth and back to their normal lives sort of thing. So a really interesting team up and a very entertaining compilation of issues. The other one I got from Dollarama is X-Men, Wolverine and Gambit. This one is, I think, from the 90s. Yeah, I think this is from back in the day, not like a newer set of issues, but this is from back in the 90s. And it starts off with a brief kind of overview of London, England in the 1880s, I believe it is. And it kind of goes over briefly Jack the Ripper and the 7 or 8 women that he killed and how he was never caught and stuff like that. And then it warps ahead to the current times at the time, where a similar occurrence has started happening in London, England, where these women are being killed. And Gambit suddenly takes interest in this case because one of the women that's murdered is somebody that he has had a history with. And although things didn't work out with them, he greatly loves this woman. And so he's really pissed that she has been murdered. And so he starts sussing out some clues, and it leads him to believe that Wolverine is the perpetrator behind all these murders. So he goes, I believe Wolverine's in Japan or something like that, and or maybe he's in London. I don't remember exactly how it works, but there's some Japan involved for a little bit, and then of course most of it takes place in London. But either way, Gambit is after Wolverine, and the two confront each other. Or sorry, Gambit confronts Wolverine, and then they have a bit of a battle. But they work through it, and they realize that Wolverine may not be the culprit here. There may be somebody pulling the strings and kind of altering the situation to make it look like whatever's happening is happening, and getting the two to come together to butt heads is a tactic that this being is using. So in the end, Gambit and Wolverine work together to find out the truth behind the whole matter and deal with the problem as only Wolverine and Gambit will do. Great issue. I love the old school 90s artwork. I love the fact that it's Wolverine and Gambit. Gambit's kind of one of those more fringe characters that you don't see that often, but he's really neat. And then of course Wolverine is just a savage beast and one of the most popular Marvel characters of all time. So it's kind of an interesting team up and an interesting storyline as well. So thumbs up. Now to get started on the stuff I got from Heroes. First up, we'll do the Turtles. So one of the series from the Turtles that I'm doing is the Urban Legends line. I haven't collected it from the start. I was a little late on that one. So I think I started around issue 17 and up I've gotten. So there wasn't anything new for me to get, but I found issues 6, an early one, and 16. So the issue before where I kind of picked it up. So in issue 6, whatever battle or accident kind of took their toll on the Turtles has just happened, and the issue starts as Donnie has his new kind of cyborg body, and Raph has half of his face burnt off, and the Turtles are trying to adjust to their new circumstances, and so they decide to do a little sparring, and Donnie's testing out his cyborg stuff, and the computer inside of it is still kind of controlling his actions, so it's a bit touch and go as they do their training. And Casey Jones happens to be stopping by the lair to visit the Turtles and bring them some groceries or something. And he sees this battle going on and forgets Donnie's a cyborg. So then he gets charging in there, and they're like, "Whoa, bro, it's just Donnie, right?" And so they all calm down and everything's cool. And then they're like, "Casey, don't you have to get back home? You have your thing tonight." So he's like, "Oh crap!" So he heads home to meet up with April because he's just been promoted at work, and there's some sort of ceremony they have to go to. And so Mikey goes with them as he's babysitting their daughter. And as the issue ends, we see Mikey falling asleep in her bed as he reads her a bedtime story, but she's not asleep. She gets up to play some video games, and then right as the issue ends, she's kind of lured outside the apartment by somebody that we don't really see, so it's kind of left on a bit of a cliffhanger. In issue 16, 3 of the Turtles, Mikey, Leo, and Donnie, are rendezvousing on a rooftop in the city outside of the Foot headquarters and kind of doing some surveillance and going, okay, how are we going to get in here? They make their play. They get into Foot headquarters. They start battling the Foot soldiers, and their main goal here is to rescue Splinter, who has been turned into a bat and is being held captive by the Shredder. As they finally make their way to the Shredder and start battling him, things unfold, and the Shredder's like, whoa, bros, calm down, it's me, Raph. He takes off his armor, and they find out that Raphael is the new head of the Foot Clan and wearing the Shredder's armor. So then one of the guys that works for Raph at the Foot, he's like a mystical kind of guy. He sends them on some sort of alternate plane journey or something, I don't know exactly how it works, to kind of deal with Splinter, and they battle him while he's a bat. And in the end, Raph has to stab him, and Splinter transforms back to his rat kind of mode or whatever, and we see him die. So I'm not sure if Splinter actually dies from this or not, because that's kind of where it ends on a cliffhanger. So, but that's kind of how that goes. The other thing is the regular ongoing Turtles issue or series, and recently it is issue 111 that I have picked up. As this one kind of goes along, the Turtles are aware that Hobbs' mutanimals are going to be planning a secret attack on their base, so they start preparing traps. It's kind of like the Lost Boys, you know, as they're waiting for sundown and the vampires to show up. They're setting all these little traps and stuff. So then a couple of the octopus guys shows up, and a panda or whatever show up. The Turtles deal with them and then string them up in the streets for Hob to see. And then after that kind of transpires, we see Mona, one of the Turtles' allies, calling home to talk to her parents first time after she's become a mutant, and they're like, ah, and they hang up. So she's devastated. And then in the end, we see Karai, the head of the Foot Clan, meet up with Hob, the leader of the mutanimals, and discuss current setbacks. And right as the issue ends, she goes, well, we've got a new secret weapon. A mutant wolf and a snapping turtle, right? So it's kind of like in the original Turtles live-action movie from the 90s when they're in the rubber suits, and Shredder's mutants. It wasn't Bebop and Rocksteady. It was Razor and, I can't remember, but it was the wolf and the snapping turtle, right? So it's kind of neat that it's kind of a shout-out to that movie and stuff. So that's it for Turtles. Next up is Transformers. There was only one issue to be had on Transformers this month. The next one, issue 24 of the ongoing regular Transformers line, which is under the Rise of the Decepticons banner at this point in the storyline. In this one, it's kind of diverts from the regular flow of where things have been going. After the tether has fallen and caused all that devastation on Cybertron, and the moon has lost its orbit and it's set to plow into Cybertron and cause a big, even more damage. This issue is simply Wheeljack, the Autobot engineer, who is, by the way, like arguably my favorite Transformer of all time. There's a few in the running, but he's one of them. It's just a whole issue of him and his team of engineers and scientists and whatever trying to figure out a way to make the moon not collide into Cybertron and avert this disaster. So it's a few newer Transformers, like that's newer to this series, along with a couple other classic Transformers. Cosmos is in there, Gears is in there. They're working on the case. So that's all it is. The whole issue is just them with these repeated attempts at, okay, what if we tried this? Doesn't work. No. So it's just these repeated attempts at trying to find this solution and put it into play and, like I said, divert yet another disaster on Cybertron. Bit of a weird issue, but also a bit of an awesome issue, me being a Wheeljack fan and all. So 2 thumbs up for this one. Okay, last up. I mentioned, I think in my last video maybe, that I hadn't seen a G.I. Joe issue in a while, and I thought maybe they're not producing them because of COVID. Like, I know there were some shutdowns and whatever, but it's all IDW, just like Transformers and Turtles are. So I thought it's kind of weird. It turns out I think they just forgot to put them in my bag. So so I've got a whack of G.I. Joe issues right now. So I'm going to start with the G.I. Joe Wanted series. That's not part of the regular ongoing one. It's a side one. And I got the next 4 issues of that. So issue 7 was the next one in line. This one warps back 5 years in the past when Scarlet returns from duty and is having kind of this post-traumatic stress episodes. And so Duke tells her to get help and stuff, but she won't help herself. So as the issue unfolds, she finally does start going to like a therapy group. And she meets some friends there, and as she goes through the different sessions, one of the guys actually commits suicide, and she's like, why would he do that? He was doing so well. And so it's just kind of her journey through this recovery, when finally one day she thinks there's going to be this great epiphany that all of a sudden one day she's going to be better, when it's really just a small set of steps day by day, and all of a sudden you've come through it, right? And when she does finally come through it, Duke says, welcome to G.I. Joe, you're back. And so we all know this is in the past because Duke is one of the first ones to be axed in that series when it first began. So next up, issue number 8. In this one, it's really cool. It's a Canadian G.I. Joe named Bombstrike, who is new to me. She must be new for this series. And she's undercover as a Canadian diplomat in Transcarpathia at Cobra's European headquarters. She's there because she's trying to get some vital intel out of that headquarters to G.I. Joe. And to do so, she's kind of seduced this Cobra operative who has super high clearance, is in charge of the kind of the project that they're after. And so it's just, the issue is her going through the motions of playing Canadian diplomat and going along with Cobra for the sake of getting what she needs. And along the way, she's got to witness the murder of innocents and all this stuff, but she's got to stay in character for the greater good, sort of thing. And the person she reports to on the outside is one of my favorite Joes, Chuckles, who doesn't get as much page or screen time as he should. Next up, number 9. In this one, it kind of, it's all action, and it's after the Cobra has unleashed their battle android troopers, which are these super powerful robot soldiers, which were in the original series too, the Bats. And they just decimate the G.I. Joe force. And so you see all the number of guys and girls that go down to the Bats, and it ends up being kind of the survival journey of one of my other favorite Joes, Tunnel Rat, who was one of the new guys for the movie back in the day. as he kind of is the last man standing, and he makes his way through the sewers and battles all these odds to come out of it alive, and is met at the shoreline by Shipwreck, who then whisks him away to safety, and Tunnel Rat's like, oh god, I'm the only one, you know. Kind of a depressing issue, but I'm glad Tunnel Rat made it anyways. And the last one of this line I've got so far, number 10. In this one, we see Lady J go undercover in a Cobra lab with Dr. Mindbender, the crazy Cobra scientist. And what he's trying to do is he takes human brains and is trying to experiment with them to try and actually put them into the battle android troopers to make the bats. The bats are super powerful, but they're kind of limited in their intelligence, their robotic intelligence. So he wants to put human brains in them to make them even more lethal by increasing their smarts. She's undercover while he's doing this, and they're trying to disrupt this operation, of course. And in the end, we see a couple of Joes doing rooftop surveillance and getting in on the fray of kind of throwing a monkey wrench into this operation. So next up, issues 274 and 275 of the ongoing G.I. Joe series, which conclude the last two issues of the Snake Hunt kind of sub-story that was going on, which saw Snake Eyes captured by Cobra, and it's just been this long kind of episode of G.I. Joe mobilizing to get him out of there, while Snake Eyes is also doing his own thing inside Cobra to get himself out. So these last two issues are just a culmination of that storyline as things finally collide on the what is it called, community center in Springfield, where he's being held. So the October Guard is in there helping the Joes. So is Zartan and the Dreadnoks. Destro and his forces from Mars or whatever, they're into the fray. And so it's, the last two issues are just kind of that culmination as everybody escapes. Laura, the Cobra trooper that captured or was in charge of keeping Snake Eyes captive, kind of is saved by Snake Eyes and turns on her own troops because they're firing on her and stuff like that. That's kind of a little sub-story that's going on. And the final issue, that 275, harkens back to issue 21 of the original G.I. Joe series back in the day, the Marvel one, as it is a silent issue. There's no words at all. It's just full page art, every page, that kind of rolls out the final moments of that battle as Snake Eyes is rescued and everybody goes home safe and sound. Last up, issues 1 and issues 2 of a new Snake Eyes series that's a standalone series, and it's called Snake Eyes Dead Game. It begins with a little side adventure back to 782 AD as Thor, the Norse god of thunder, takes on the Grave Master, this red ninja who carries the dead sword, and they do a battle, and we don't see how it ends, but it warps ahead to current times when Snake Eyes is on a mission. G.I. Joe gets a text, a mysterious text with some coordinates, but it looks like authentic G.I. Joe code, and so as Snake Eyes shows up at this facility and battles through, he releases the original G.I. Joe, Joseph Colton, or whatever his name is. And so Colton fills them in on some stuff that's going on, and which is the return of this red ninja, the Grave Master. So Snake Eyes then heads to the location where this guy's supposed to be and does battle with him. And that's kind of where the first issue ends. In the second issue, Snake Eyes and Scarlet are on the case, but this ninja girl shows up as they're still pursuing this red ninja, and she calls him Snake Eyes' little brother, and she manages to get the drop on him and take him captive and take him back to the red ninja, who plans on doing all sorts of terrible things to Snake Eyes, of course. And then in the meantime, Storm Shadow shows up and takes Scarlet captive, so we're not sure what his motives are in this whole thing, and that's kind of where that issue ends. So I can't wait to see where the rest of this goes and how many issues exactly it's going to be. I don't imagine it will be many, but Snake Eyes, of course, is one of the most famous G.I. Joes, many people's favorite G.I. Joe, and he gets a lot of screen time. Unlike Chuckles, Snake Eyes gets a ton of screen time and page time. So I can't wait to see where this one goes. But I wish they would do kind of more little spin-off short series on other characters, because G.I. Joe is a series that has such a depth of characters. There are so many characters they could do stuff with. So I would like to see, even if it's just a couple or 2 or 3 issues, that kind of maybe some backstories on certain characters. Like bring on a Barbecue, or a Torpedo, or a Snow Job little sub-series, right? Like I would love all that stuff. I would buy every single character's little branch off series if there was any. So just my thoughts on the matters. But anyways, that is all for now. It was a lot of reading, but it was a pleasure, and I can't wait I can wait till the new year because I need a bit of a time off from work. But of course, once the new year does arrive, I will be back in early January to get my first batch of comics in 2021, and I will be back to mention them. So have a great Christmas.